But welcome to our Chaos to Calm chat on Zoom. For those that are on Zoom, thanks for joining. For those that are live on Facebook, watching the streaming and Instagram, thanks for joining. Tonight's Chaos to Calm Mindfulness chat, we're going to talk a lot about self-sabotage. What is self-sabotage? Why we do it? How we can fix it. So for those that aren't familiar with that phrase, self-sabotage is a form of keeping yourself from doing things to help you grow. So say that you have this feeling within you where you're stuck within your job, within maybe it's like a relationship, maybe it's just trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. I know for myself, after I had my son and he grew up to an age where he was more self-sufficient and he wasn't always around me, I was wanting more. I was wanting more in life. I was wanting to do things for myself. Finally, I was wanting to explore different avenues with fitness and health and wellness and all those things. But I would sign up for something or tell someone that I was interested in something, or I would buy a book, or I would listen to a podcast or whatever it was. And then I would either not apply what I just learned, not attend what I just signed up for, not spend the time, the energy, or the money in growing what I really desperately wanted to do, but I would stop. I would stop before I would start. And all of these things, I'm sure if you're listening and you have parts of yourself that do this, probably shaking your head like, yep, that's me. I've done that before. There'd be times where I would even commit to doing a in-person workshop or do a yoga session, and then before it would even launch or anyone would register, I would stop. I would just stop it. So that's self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is stopping yourself from the growth. So why do we do that? Well, we do that because the comfort zone feels comfortable. We know what to expect day in and day out with this life that we've built and we're comfortable in. We know what money's being spent, or how our time's being utilized, or we know that no one's going to make fun of us. That no one's going to pick us apart or analyze us or, call us out on things. So we stay small. We don't want to grow. We don't want to rock the boat. We much rather be comfortable. If you're somebody like myself who wants to succeed, but you're scared to succeed, then you're definitely going to self-sabotage, because what does success look like? If you're not someone that's used to succeeding or used to a totally different life, that can be very terrifying to make the first steps towards any sort of movement, towards any sort of growth. There's also another reason why we self-sabotage, and I apologize, forgot my little man. 1 minute for those that are watching. So this is you. This is your body, and this is your mind. You have two parts to your mind. You have your conscious mind, which is your thinking brain, which is where you process all the thoughts that come in from all of your 5 senses. everything you see, smell, hear, taste, and touch comes into your thinking brain, where you then can consciously decide what you want to do with that information. You can either reject it if it's something that doesn't feel right to you, or you can allow it in, and then it settles into this part, which is called your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is where all of your programming lies, all of your habits, all of your beliefs, all of the things that serve us and do not serve us is all in the subconscious programming. And we call this, in the coaching industry, we call this your paradigm. So from that space, we then take the action in our bodies. In our body, we move the body from the beliefs, from the habits, from the resources that we have within ourselves and the knowledge that we think serves us, but also sabotages us. So when you're little, from infancy till about 7 years old, this top part of your mind is wide open, wide open. So there's no bridge there towards the subconscious mind. So, everything that comes in that you see, smell, hear, taste, and touch comes in, and it immediately settles into your subconscious. You do not have the tools, you're not equipped yet with your thinking mind to give that a true or a false statement, to reject the thoughts, to reject what you're seeing, reject what you're hearing. It just becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a part of your programming. And then from that, you then start to behave based on your beliefs. And when you're behaving from that space, that is everything that you hear from teachers, parents, employers, ministers, reverends, whatever. If you're of religious, that's everything that everybody has ever said, everything you've ever seen comes in, and it settles into the subconscious mind. So sometimes our self-sabotage, keeping us safe, keeping us small, keeping us from growing, is because it's way in there. It's an old weed that you don't even realize where it would come from. It could have came from something that was within you when you were an infant or when you were really young. So for instance, for myself, in my case, my subconscious programming, there's a lot in there that has to do with my health. There is a ton of things that I wouldn't have even been able to discern as an infant and as a toddler and as a young child. Things like, and life expectancy, right? My parents were told when I was born my diagnosis, and then they were told that I was not going to live to be 16. And I, just despite what the best intentions of everyone, would have heard that information, and it settled right into my subconscious brain. So from that alone set the bar for the way I may have behaved, or the keeping myself in a comfort zone in the small stage, so that I could exceed that life expectancy and that I wouldn't become sick all the time. Your story might be different. Maybe you do have a health condition. Maybe there was things happening in your world or in your life when you were really young, that you don't necessarily remember. I don't remember the day my parents were told about my disease. I don't really remember any major hospital things until I was probably about 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, and 5 for sure. different treatments I had to have and different things that happened to me at clinic appointments that were fairly traumatizing now that you think about it. Probably very traumatizing to my mom and dad as well. So all of that lives within here. And then from there, you take steps and actions based on your beliefs, based on who you've become because of those paradigms. So that alone is why we self-sabotage, because we don't even know anything different. We don't even realize that those things live within us. And now that you know, now you get to take action. Now that you have some sort of awareness about how your brain is set up, you can be like, who is this habit that I've created? Let's say a procrastination habit. If anyone out there's a procrastinator, is this procrastination habit something that serves me? Where may it have come from? And how can I replace it with a different behavior? Because here's the thing. If you're not growing in life, if you've settled into a comfort zone in your life, then you are disintegrating. I'll say that again. If you're not growing in life, you are disintegrating, which is a scary thought, right? We don't want to be 30, 40, 50, 60 and disintegrating. And here's the other thing, your life at, I say 30, I'm still in my 30s. Your life at 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 100s, it doesn't have to stop. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this is my life now, and this is how my life is going to be forever. Just because you're aging does not mean you have to settle into a comfort zone and disintegrate, right? You think of some of the most famous people in the world. Let's use Tina Turner, for example, who just passed away this week in her 80s. She became famous, rock and roll famous as a solo artist on her own through grit and determination and willpower at the age of 42. She was up shaking her booty with Beyonce at an award show. I think it was maybe like the Grammys or something in her 60s, right? So if you're not growing, then what are you doing? You're just staying in a comfort zone, which doesn't serve you. And I can tell you right now, it does not serve the people that love you. To watch people just stay comfortable and be miserable and not have any goals or any desires or any passions in their life, to stand back and watch that happen to people I love, people I coach, it's hard, because you just want to be able to say, like, listen to your heart. You have more in you than whatever you're doing, right? So just observe where you're at. Observe where you're self-sabotaging this week, next week, and the weeks to come. Are you somebody that gets excited, enrolls for something because they want to know more information, and then doesn't show up? That's a self-sabotage. Are you someone that inquires about a workout program or goes to the gym to figure out what they would like to do, and then they don't actually show up? That's a self-sabotage. Stop sabotaging yourself from starting. What are you afraid of? What is holding you back? If it's the growth, if it's the success, if it's changing who you actually are, would it not be worse to stay where you're at in a comfort zone, being miserable with your life, versus exploring something different? I know for me, that was very much the pivotal point when all I was getting was sick all the time and not just a little bit sick. Now, if I get sick, I can kick it in a couple days, right? This was like debilitating in the hospital on oxygen, hooked up to IVs and feeding tubes and just like that was my life. That was my life. And I decided 2 years ago that that was not going to be my life anymore. I was so freaking done with that. I wanted to live and I didn't care how uncomfortable a workout every day was going to be. Guys, I was like coughing and I was puking and I was crying and I was gasping for air every time I showed up to a workout, every single time. And after the workout, there'd be moments where I felt super elated and excited that I did it and proud of myself. But there would also be moments where I was like, what am I doing? This feels like suffering. Why am I doing this? And then I went back to my why. Why am I doing this? I wanted to live. I wanted to live for my child. I wanted to live for my husband. I wanted to stay on this earth a little longer and experience more things and have a business, and I wanted to heal people and I wanted to help people, but I couldn't do that and I wouldn't have been here had I not allowed myself to get uncomfortable. Had I allowed myself to keep self-sabotaging, this moment that we're sharing would never be here. And it's the same for showing up online in my business, regardless of how many people are watching, regardless of how many people are on Zoom. I show up because I know that the discomfort of the messy, the spending all the money, the, trying to build a business and get people's attention or gain clients, all of that stuff doesn't always feel super comfortable. But I understand that the discomfort and the messy middle far outweighs the self-sabotage. Far outweighs it. Because one day I'm going to show up and make a massive impact because I continued to push through that comfort zone. So grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, and jot down some things that you do to self-sabotage yourself. Procrastination is one of mine. Perfectionism, oddly enough, is one of mine. I think that's why I procrastinate, because if I can't get it perfect, I don't want it to go out, right? I have another one that's like all or nothing. So if I start cleaning the house, it won't just be one room, it has to be the whole house. And then if I can't do the whole house, then I just stop. I just it's too overwhelming, so I just quit. Right? Write down some of your programmed self-sabotage that you've learned through your life. And maybe even thinking back to things that your parents did that now become part of you. Or maybe it was a teacher that now is settled into what you truly believe. Because the truth is, guys, that we are all this. Every single one of us is this stick figure, every single one, with a conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the body. We're all a stick figure. When you start to look at yourself as a stick figure and you start to look at everyone else as a stick figure, it actually makes you become a little bit more compassionate to how people behave, to how they show up in the world. Because we're all just going through whatever we've been programmed with and learned as children. And now we're acting from there. So take that reflection time. Maybe there's some things that are going to come up for you that you feel like, I need to investigate this a little bit more. Let me know. I'm happy to do complimentary coaching calls with anybody that has something that comes up after one of my mindset talks or one of my meditations. I would love to listen. I would love to hold space for you and allow you the time to sift through some of the things that aren't serving you anymore. And I promise you there's ways to get over it. I promise you there's tools out there that will absolutely level up your life. I know this because I've done this. And let me show you how to do it too. Thanks, guys, for joining. I hope there was so much value as always. I apologize it was a little bit later in the evening, but I'm super glad that you were able to jump on when you could. And I will be back next week, Thursday. It actually probably will be about the same time that I will be back because my son has a baseball game. And then don't forget on Sunday, we do our meditation. We probably will do a meditation for self-sabotage to help you guys through some of that. Thank you so much for the support. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the love, Jess, on Instagram. I appreciate you all. And I will see you on Sunday. Take care.